Hi, my name is Ryan LaFerney. I am a reference librarian here at the Avon-Washington Township Public Library, and this presentation is on how to spot fake news. Fake news isn't anything new. It's not a new phenomenon. Fake news took off at the same time that news began to circulate widely after the invention of the printing press in 1440. And fake news was hard to verify in that era. There was plenty of news sources, from official publications by political and religious authorities to eyewitness accounts from sailors and merchants, but no concept of journalistic ethics or objectivity. Excuse me. Readers in search of fact had to pay very close attention, much like we do today. Objective journalism did become a successful business model around the beginning of the 20th century, and also until recently the dominant one. But of course, propaganda was a problem that objective journalism faced in the 20th century, and it was widely utilized by various governments and activists and nations. Think of the utilization of propaganda by Nazi Germany, for instance. And despite its long historical context, propaganda is alive and well in the information age. For example, it has been at the heart of the criticism levied against Facebook after the 2016 US presidential election. So what types of news exist? There's radio. There are many types of news, radio broadcasters, including commercial and non-commercial, that deliver news to listeners. It is common for local radio stations to exist as affiliates of larger broadcast networks. For example, 90.1 FM WFYI Public Radio is our local NPR affiliate. Newspapers. The highest circulating print newspapers in the US include USA Today, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and the Washington Post. Each newspaper's corresponding website has various levels of access. Many newspapers rely on content from the Associated Press and Reuters. There is also a large number of local newspapers, more than 1,300 in the US alone, according to the Newspaper Association of America. Television, the largest broadcast US television networks include NBC, CBS, ABC, and Fox. Local television news channels carry national news programs as well as local news programs. The largest US cable television news channels include C-SPAN, CNN, MSNBC, CNBC, Bloomberg Television, and Fox Business Network. Of course, there's good old-fashioned word of mouth and the internet, which is sort of the reason why fake news is prevalent again. It wasn't until the rise of web-generated news that our era's objective journalistic norms were seriously challenged, and fake news became a very powerful source. With the rise of microblogging and social networking sites such as Twitter and Facebook, fake news has become even more pervasive. You can, just post something fake anytime you want. And information simply travels faster now than it used to. And anyone can be a journalist or an author and publish news just simply by creating a blog or designing a web page. And many internet sources are less reliable than print sources because, as mentioned, it's relatively inexpensive to put material on the web when compared to the cost of a print publication. So it's easy for private individuals to post their unverified opinions on websites. It's also cost-effective for corporations and organizations to post websites that appear to be factual that actually serve to promote the group's agenda. Corporations and organizations utilize these websites, and they actually know that information tends to be a little bit more easy to digest when you have a little bit of drama added in there. So many creators of various websites employ circulation building gimmicks to get you to click on those stories and share them, preferring drama over accuracy. Fake news can be defined as information that cannot be verified without sources and is possibly untrue. It's fake or fabricated news that is expressively disseminated for the sake of earning money from clicks and views, while also being used to mislead and misinform. We tend to use multiple different words when we talk about fake news. Misinformation is one of them. Misinformation is information that is incomplete, but can also be defined as information that is uncertain, vague, or ambiguous. but it still might be true, accurate, or informative depending on the context. So when people spread misinformation, they often believe the information they're sharing and they do not intend to do harm. And most people just think they're being helpful when they spread misinformation. So this is an example of it. You know, you see this on Facebook and you think, oh wow, garlic can cure the coronavirus, which we know is not true. So this is an example of misinformation. But there is some truth to this, that garlic does have some really great healing properties. Disinformation. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, disinformation is false or misleading information deliberately or tactically spread in order to influence public opinion or obscure the truth. Think of the most recent example of as mentioned, of the 2016 efforts waged by the Russians targeting the US presidential election. So what's wrong with fake news? Well, you deserve the truth. You were smart enough to make up your own mind as long as you had the real facts in front of you. You have every right to be insulted when you read fake news because you are in essence being treated like you don't understand how to read the news. And fake news destroys your credibility. You can't win an argument built on bad information. And it will be that much more difficult for people to believe you in the future if you're just spouting fake news off all the time. And fake news can hurt you and a lot of other people. Purveyors of fake news and misleading websites help perpetuate myths like HIV and AIDS aren't related or that vaccines cause autism. These sites are heavily visited and their lies are dangerous to people's actual health. And real news can benefit you. For example, if you want to buy stock in a company, you want to read accurate articles about that company so you can invest wisely. If you're planning on voting in an election, you want to read as much good information on a candidate so you can vote for the person who best represents your ideals and beliefs. A fake news will not help you make money or make the world a better place, but real news can. So, how do we discern what is fake news and real news? Especially when we live in this age in which tweets and Facebook statuses are being reported as news. In our day and age, internet users need to be competent, intelligent users of information. Information consumers should be able and prepared to critique the news being broadcast. They should be able to seek and find information that is being broadcast or otherwise that is not being broadcast or otherwise prioritized. Additionally, they should be able to describe and understand the difference between the various providers and provocateurs of information. This is what I'm attempting for you to do. So what makes a news story fake? Well, you can't verify its claims. You can't find anything else on the internet about it. Doesn't have any sources. Fake news appeals to emotion. It makes you feel angry, happy, or scared. Authors usually aren't experts, so if if the authors aren't even journalists, that's probably a warning sign. It can't be found anywhere else, nowhere else on the internet. Fake news comes from fake sites such as abcnews.com.co. It's fake news. So there's different categories of fake news. According to Melissa Zimdars of Merrimack College, there's category 1, which is social media sharing. There's category 2, which is deliberate misinformation. So they're sharing misinformation on purpose. There's category 3, false headlines. So the use of clickbait and to get people to click on these headlines is a big thing with these sort of websites. And there's category 4, which is satire. There's satire comedy sites which can offer important critical commentary on politics and society, but have the potential to be shared as actual literal news when really they're just good for a good chuckle. So here's an example of category 2, websites that may circulate misleading or potentially unreliable information. This website has been targeted by the FDA for promoting false, misleading, and even dangerous medical advice. Here is an example of category 4, a satire comedy site. This is actually from The website The Onion, which is an American satirical digital media company and newspaper organization that publishes articles on international, national, and local news. The emphasis is on satirical news stories and humorous news stories, but not factual news stories. It appeals to your emotions by making you laugh. And actually, this is kind of interesting. If you notice that the Onion's link on Google is advertised as a straightforward news source. But over here, the Wikipedia article is a little bit more honest, saying it's a satirical digital media company. So how do we become smart consumers of information in the digital age? The process and ability to be able to evaluate and separate fake news from real news is part of media literacy and, on a broader level, information literacy. There are strategies that you can use to become a savvy judge of news, especially online or when using social media. There are 3 questions you should always ask yourself when evaluating a news story. The first one is, who is the creator? Do you know the person behind the presentation of the material? Is there a byline or introduction? Is the author listed on the site? Is there an About Me section? Does the organization have an About Us link? Is the website's URL credible? Is it .gov, .edu, .mil, and .org? Search the internet for more information about the author, rather. The author doesn't exist, that's problematic. LinkedIn is a social media site for professionals. Does this person have a LinkedIn account? Search an online library catalog to see what books the author has written. Question 2, what is the message? We need to be able to evaluate the message to understand what is being communicated. So what is its content? Can I find the same news in multiple places? Do multiple places use different experts and sources in their reports? Is the website this news appears on updated regularly? What is the date of the story? Beware of old dates. A lot of people post news stories as if they're brand new, but really they were posted like a year ago. Check the sources from the story and their expertise. Are sources in quotes? Quotes lend greater authenticity and credibility. Can you figure out if there's a bias in the message, if there's a slant? Is the news fact or is it more opinion? A lot of newspapers will, and online news websites will let you know when they're publishing an opinion piece by stating it's an opinion piece. Question 3, why was this created? The third question in determining if something is fake news is by looking at why the message was created in the first place. Can you tell what motivated the creation of the message? Is it for profit? Is it an advertisement? Are the sources being paid? Is the author being paid? If the content lists itself as sponsored content, that means an individual or organization is paying to display the content. You'll sometimes see this pop up in your social media feeds like Facebook. So what to do? Read, watch, listen very widely. Don't get your news just from one source. These are some generally reliable news sources: the New York Times, PBS NewsHour, Boston Globe. Recognize that even typically reliable sources, whether mainstream or alternative, corporate or nonprofit, rely on particular media frames to report stories and select stories based on different notions of newsworthiness. Be critical of the sources we share and engage with on social media. Fact check before sharing an article. What you want to avoid is fake, false, regularly misleading sites, which rely on outrage using distorted headlines and decontextualized devious information in order to generate likes, shares, and profits. Websites that may circulate misleading and potentially unreliable information. You want to avoid websites that use clickbait headlines and social media descriptions. You want to probably avoid the fake satire comedy sites as actual news, but I like to go to the Onion for a good laugh, but I always know it's not real news and it can't be trusted. It's just kind of making fun of what's happening in the world. So here is an example of a clickbaity website that features clickbait headlines. It's the Free Thought Project website. As you can see, it's overpopulated with clickbait. Now, while some of these, if you dig deeper, some of these stories are true, but they're definitely sensational, right? They're appealing on our emotion. This is another outrageous example. This is a website that may circulate misleading or potentially unreliable information. And what seems unreliable about this, you might ask? Well, what ticks me off, what actually makes me mad, but what can tip you off rather is the use of all caps and the terrible web design, which actually does frustrate me. And then obviously these are just, I mean, claiming that Hillary Clinton's a cannibalistic vampire. That's just insane. Whatever you decide on your political leanings is, this website's just insane. So anyway, more tips for analyzing news sources. Avoid websites that end in lol, so news lol. Watch out for websites that end in .com, .co. Watch out if known reputable news sites are not also reporting on the story. Odd domain names generally equal odd and rarely truthful news. Lack of author attribution, no author, do more research. Some news organizations are letting bloggers post, but these bloggers might not actually have credentials to be journalists. So it's probably just more of an opinion piece than actual news. Check the About Us tab. Once again, bad web design, use of all caps, run away. Get out of that web page. If the website you're reading encourages you to dox individuals or be cruel in any way, it's not good. It's probably not safe. It's always best to read multiple sources of information to get a wide variety of viewpoints and media frames. A test you can employ is the CRAP test. So to find fake news. So the CRAP test stands for currency, relevance, authority, accuracy, and purpose. You want to look for currency, the timeliness of the information. So is it relevant? Is it new information? The relevance, the importance of your information to your needs. Authority, the source of the information. Accuracy, the reliability and truthfulness of the information. And purpose, the reason the information exists. These are really helpful fact-checking sites. I'll let you take a look at that real quickly, and then I'll give you a couple examples of them. This is factcheck.org, and here's an article from them debunking false stories regarding coronavirus cures, in particular, the garlic, which we've already discussed. This is Snopes. I really like Snopes. They were formerly known as the Urban Legends reference pages, but it's a really fun fact-checking website. It has been described as a well-regarded reference for sorting out myths and rumors on the internet, but it has also been seen as a source for validating and debunking urban legends and similar stories in American popular culture. There are tons of news stories and fact-checking articles on politics, but you also get things like this: a zebra with dots instead of stripes. You might be wondering, well, is this true? Can a zebra exist with dots instead of stripes? And according to Snopes, yes, they do. Snopes confirmed that this is in fact a real zebra. So not everything, and in fact, actually back up here, they actually were able to quote someone who is a biologist and who talked about this zebra's condition in the National Geographic. So they were able to back up their information with sources. So not everything on fact-checking sites revolve around politics, viruses, propaganda, the end of the world. Some of the articles are really fun and informative and inform you about the world around you and are capable of sparking intellectual curiosity while confirming the truth. So a few more things here. If you want to help to stop the spread of false news, Facebook now allows you to mark a post as false news, which I showed earlier in this presentation. You could go to their help center to find out how to do this. And the post that you will mark as fake news will go to professional fact checkers for review. This is from the International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions. It's a great poster of kind of reminding you of all the steps of how to spot fake news. So consider the source, read beyond, check the author. Supporting sources, click on the links, determine if the info given actually supports the story. Are there links? Are there footnotes? Check the date. Is it a joke? If it's too outlandish, it might be satire. Check your biases. We all have individual beliefs that cloud and affect our judgment. And then I would just encourage you to ask the experts, ask a librarian, or consult a fact-checking site. We are here to help at the Avon-Washington Township Public Library. I'm happy to help, and so are my colleagues. This is a fun little game of trying to see if you can identify fake news stories. I would encourage you to go to this URL to do this. It's a lot of fun. And these are my sources. I want to thank you for your time. Once again, we are here to help you at the Avon-Washington Township Public Library. Feel free to call us, email us if you have any questions. We are here to help you. Thank you for your time.